Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Vera and on here I like to talk about anything that's going on in my knitting life. Today I'm going to do another free pattern wrap-up video. Essentially, these are all patterns that are for free. They're all summer patterns and they're just openly available on Ravelry. So I always enjoy sharing these patterns because I think with knitting it's one of these things where we're already kind of spending so much money on yarn, and while I fully support knitters and knitwear designers, I do think that for a lot of people an expensive pattern is a little bit of a barrier, and while I think we should definitely support pattern designers in different ways, there's different ways to also access patterns for free. So be it over a yarn website or be it from a designer who've just kind of chosen to make one or two patterns for free and charge for the rest. I think there's always ways to try out free patterns, and I think especially if you're a beginner knitter, it's kind of like an easier way to get into it. So today I've selected 20 of my most favorite free summer tops and t-shirts, I should say. So I'm going to include them all in a Ravelry folder. I'll link it down below. And then, yeah, everything should be listed on there. I believe you don't actually need a Ravelry account to access these patterns, so it should be pretty easily accessible. So these are no real particular order. I'm just kind of gonna talk about them as they come up. I mean, with summer patterns, it's realistically either a tank top or a t-shirt. I feel like in the summer there is not that much layering going on. Yeah, I think a lot of these will also really depend on the yarn choice you make for them. The nice thing about summer patterns often is that it is like just a lot lighter and a lot smaller in terms of how much you actually need to knit compared to your winter knitting. So I love summer knitting. I really, I don't know, I think there's just something so fun about it, and then also just getting to wear it right away and it being warm outside but you're still getting to wear your own knitted clothes. But yeah, let's get right into it. The first one is number 17, Shirt Diversa and Perforuna by Lana Grossa. So this is an example of when a yarn company brings out patterns to try to encourage you to buy their yarn, which I think is a really cool concept. Like, I think that's a lovely way of doing it. So this pattern is a collar t-shirt where the collar and the bottom rib and the sleeve, or the sleeve ribbing, is actually an accent color to the base of the shirt. It is this like collar style v-neck opening that I think became really popular with the I think it was like the Elizabeth Blouse but Petite knit. I think that just like kind of broke the barrier of being able to knit that yourself. This one is constructed a little bit differently. I should probably add that this pattern is pretty new. It's from February 2025 and it was published in a magazine called Wool Place by Lana Grossa. It uses a sport weight yarn, and it suggests the Lana Grossa Perforuna or the Lana Grossa Diversa. And it is just this beautiful pattern. I love the blue with the white, with the beige, the colors they've chosen here. And I think it's also just one of those things that if you're looking to like level up your knitting, work a little bit of, you know, color work, like different techniques, I think this would be a really cool pattern. It is suggested to be knit on 3.5 and 4mm needles. And the only thing here is the pattern is only in German, but I do know that I have a lot of German speakers that follow me here and that watch my videos. So if you're a German speaker, this might be a pattern for you. And if you're not a German speaker, then, you know, maybe if you're a little bit more of an advanced knitter, Google Translate or some other translation website will be able to help you in making this pattern. I should also add that it comes in sizes 36 to 46, which from my knowledge of like European sizing to international sizing, that should be about an XSS up until like an XXL maybe. And yeah, this is one of those shirts that I think I'm gonna put not on this year's but on next year's knitting list for myself, just because I think it's so beautiful and I love like just everything about it. I like my collared knits, you know? Next pattern I want to share is called the Bevel Tank by Heidi Gustad. And this, similar to the one previously, was also published on the Hobbii website. So it is a pattern, given or available to us thanks to Hobbii trying to sell their yarn. So the suggested yarn here is the Hobbii Rainbow Deluxe 8/4, which I believe is like a cotton mix yarn. This pattern is this wide like tank top with a round neck opening, and the detail is really in the collar and the bottom line of the edges, as well as the two different colors. How fun is that? So I think this one is also pretty cool if you want to like level up your knitting a little bit but still be done with the project relatively quickly. This is, however, knit on 2 and 2.75mm needles. So in my opinion, that would make it a perfect summer tank top because that means it's a lighter fabric. I think often when we see summer tanks knit up in like 4.5mm needles, that often results in a bit of a thicker fabric. And if you're living in a country that does get hot in the summers, maybe like opting for the thinner needle sizes, for the smaller needle sizes, would actually make your garments more wearable, of course, again depending on the yarn you choose. This pattern comes in sizes 1 through 9 and is available in English as well as 10 other languages, and it's suggested to be knit up in fingering weight. Next, we have a wrap t-shirt. I think these wrap t-shirts are becoming pretty popular right now, so it's really fun to see a summer version of it. This is called the Cocoa Top by Ellen Ferderer, and it was first published in the Yerber Flow, which I guess is like a magazine. It's a very recent pattern. It's from May 2025. It's also knit up in a sport weight yarn on 3.5mm needles, and it comes in sizes XS through 4XL. Available in English and many other languages. This again is one of those examples where like it's just like this could totally also be a paid pattern. In fact, all of these could be paid patterns, but yeah, it's just nice that it's for free. I think the wrap tops again are very versatile in the summer. Like you can wrap it a bit tighter, a bit looser, depending on like how hot, cold it is outside, how you feel comfortable in it. I think it's just one of those tops that will kind of like mold to your body either way, and therefore, you know, it's gonna look good on most people, I think, which is super, super nice. Next, we have a pretty basic tank top. This one is called the Bliss Tank, and it is by Alicia Plummer. This is like this very simple tank top that I think could very quickly become a basic in any closet. It was published in August of 2024, and it is knit up in a sports weight yarn and on 5.5mm needle, so it's a very loose gauge, which again is really gonna be nice in the summer. Comes in sizes 78.5 until 176.5 centimeters. My guess is that is the bust circumference, so that is super inclusive. That has a lot of like different options, and also like different options for those people who might be in between sizes, and so on and so forth. The pattern is available in English, and yeah, I just think especially in like a neutral color, it's gonna be a basic, it's gonna be a staple, which I think is always nice to knit, because that means you would actually get to wear your knit a lot more often than maybe some of those other items. A similar basic knitted tank, which is a little bit more like, this one is a little bit more, covers a little bit more up, let's put it that way. It almost reminds me of a vest a little bit, but it's still like light and flowy for the summer. This one is called Summer Top Margarita by Veronica Stonkus. Suggested to knit up in Drops Paris yarn, which is an Aran weight yarn, which is pretty, you know, thick, bulky, which I guess is why they suggest a cotton yarn here. It is knit up on 5mm needles and comes in sizes S through XXL. So this I think is one that maybe is for the summer evenings, or maybe for the colder summer days. Where we live here, it is literally like, I think today it's 35 degrees out, so there is no way I could wear an Aran weight tank top. That would just be way too hot. But if you're living somewhere where the summers are not as hot, and or maybe, you know, towards the end or at the beginning you do need a little bit more warmth, I think this could be a really, really cute tank top that's also a staple in your closet. And yeah, it's available for free, so looks like it's gonna work up really quickly though if it's an Aran weight yarn at 16 stitches as a gauge. So that's pretty nice as well. Okay, next we have another pattern from Hobbii, and this one is a little bit more advanced because it involves some lace work. This is the Floral top by Amanita or Agata Makiewicz. This was published in July 2024, and it is suggested to be knit up in the Hobbii Rainbow Bamboo, which is a yarn that I'm currently using. I'm using it to make a Margot top, which is a paid pattern, so I'm not including it here, but the yarn is so nice. It is a bamboo cotton mix, mostly bamboo though, so it just had that really, it has that really nice, beautiful, light summer feeling to it. So this yarn is a sport weight yarn, and this top is knit up on 3.5 and 3mm needles. It comes in sizes 1 through 9 and is available in English and many other languages. And I think the detailing here with the tied back panel with the beautiful like lace, like leaves, flowers that seem to come down is just so beautiful. And I think it's a top that you could easily reverse as well, because the front is quite neutral. So I think if you want the lace and the oval opening to be in the front, you can totally turn your shirt around and have a completely new t-shirt. Next we have another pattern from Lana Grossa. This is number 41, top Sautil. Lana Grossa doesn't publish like who the designer behind the pattern is, unfortunately, so I guess the credits here go to Lana Grossa, but I'm sure someone designed the pattern. This is a pattern that is also like kind of like a vest type tank top, with a pretty high neckline, and it features this beautiful like leaf lace detail through and through. And I always think that lace is really nice in the summer because it's just a little bit more airy, and it just gives you that like summer feel that, you know, maybe like a fully stockinette vest wouldn't give you. This one is knit up in a sport weight yarn, and the gauge is 27 stitches and 10 centimeters, and it's knit up on 3 and 4mm needles. Again, this one is a Lana Grossa pattern, so again, it comes only in German, and it's only available in sizes 36 to 40, so the size range is not very wide here. That's like SML, I guess, because the European sizes go up in like increments of 2. But again, I think if you're a little bit apt in terms of your knitting, if you can read your lace charts, I think this will be a perfect pattern. Yeah, even if it's in German and you're not a German speaker. The next one is a t-shirt, and this one is called the Sniffall Tea by Steen Hølgaard Johansen. This one is again by Yerbo, so this is a yarn company, so I guess similar to the drops patterns, to the Hobbii patterns, etc, etc. They, you know, give you the pattern for free in the hope that you will buy their yarn. This one is this beautiful t-shirt with these longer sleeves. It reminds me a little bit of the T number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, I believe. This one is knit up in a fingering and a lace weight yarn, which makes me think that is a little bit more of a, you know, colder summer days t-shirt situation, just holding those two yarns together. The gauge is 20 stitches. I guess a little bit of a thicker garment will result in it. It's knit up in 3.5 and 4.5mm needles, comes in sizes XXS to 4XL, and it's available in English and a few other languages. And I think this is just such a beautiful pattern. I think it's also just one of those that you can pair with so many other different things. It features like this shoulder raglan, which I think is always very delicate and very versatile, very simple looking but so effective. Next is a Yarnspirations patterns. This is called the Summer Vertical Ridges tank top. It is a Yarnspirations design studio pattern. It doesn't say the designer, unfortunately, but this is a tank top with a V opening at the front and a straight opening or a straight neckline at the back. And I think with the ridges, it is so beautiful. The yarn weight suggested is a DK weight yarn, and the gauge is 24 stitches on a 3.5mm needle, and it comes in sizes XS through 5XL. And yeah, I think this and a cotton yarn could also be a really beautiful summer top. This one does seem to have a little bit more positive ease, which is always nice to get like a little bit of a cool air to the body. Next is the top called Quzall by Rachel Brockman. This one also features a little bit of a pattern. I believe it's a lace construction. Nothing too complicated. It is knit up in a DK weight yarn, and the gauge is 24 stitches on 3.5 and 3.75 millimeter needles. It comes in sizes XS through 5XL, and it's available in English and Danish. And yeah, I think this one is a little bit similar to the previous top in that it's a V opening at the front and what it seems like a bit of a round, straighter opening at the back. Next is a pattern published by Floral. The designer is Else Schellerup. I believe that's how you pronounce it, I'm not sure. Floral is also a yarn brand. This one is called Sunny Bell, and it is this beautiful tank top that features this beautiful lace pattern at the bottom and this very tight, I guess it's twisted rib at the top. I think the choice of color here is so beautiful. This one is knit up in a sport weight yarn. The suggestion is of course a Floral yarn. It is Floral Merci, and the gauge is 35 stitches and 10 centimeters on 3 millimeter needles. It's quite a small gauge, but in my head that means it's going to be a thinner garment, which means it's going to be a much more comfortable, wearable summer garment. It comes in sizes S through XL, and it's available in English and a few other languages. And I think the detail that really stands out with this pattern is the like shell-like structure, or the detailing, the pattern at the bottom. I would literally knit this just for that, and looking at it I just kind of want to like learn how that is constructed. So it's super nice that Floral is giving this pattern to us for free, because I think it's something that looks seemingly simple from the distance, but once you look a bit closer as a knitter, you're kind of like, how does that work? And yeah, that's why I included it in here, because I think it's just such a beautiful one that you could also learn quite a bit from when knitting. Next we have another t-shirt, or I guess it's like more of a relaxed shoulder t-shirt top. It is called the Beppu top. This one is by Ito Yarn and Design. This one is a pretty old pattern. It's 10 years old. It's from 2015, but it's still, I think, really cool and very beautiful. It calls for a sport weight yarn, the Ito Gima and the Ito Bagami, and the gauge is 25 stitches on 3.5 millimeter needles, and comes in one size, but it says XS through L, and it's in English or in German. Yeah, and I think this is just if you are looking to make like a basic t-shirt with a bit of a shorter sleeve. I mean, of course you can always lengthen the sleeve, then I think this might be a really nice staple pattern for you. The sizing is, however, something that you would have to look into, because I'm not really sure what one size XS through L means. That but anyways, I think it's a nice thing from Ito Yarn to still provide us with like a basic t-shirt pattern. Next, I'm going to share a drops design pattern. This one is the Walking on Air top, which is this high neck tank top with quite wide straps, which makes it bra friendly. I'm always on the lookout for tank tops that are actually bra friendly. I'll knit the ones that aren't, but I prefer the ones that are, if you know what I mean. Anyways, this is a sleeveless top, and it is knit up in a sports weight yarn. The suggested one here is Drop Saffron, and the gauge here is 24 stitches on 3.5 and 3 millimeter needles. It comes in sizes S through XXXL, so 3XL, and it's available in a multitude of languages, of course including English. And the detailing at the top and the detailing at the bottom is, in my opinion, it just hits the sweet spot of less is more, but also more is more, because I think it just is the perfect amount of lace for a still basic summer top. And yeah, I mean, if you don't know this, the Drops website has so many free patterns. They do a really good job of just, you know, giving you a lot of different inspirations, a lot of different patterns to choose from. Some of the pictures might be a little bit outdated, but I think it's mostly about the item and the pattern and the garment in it. And I think Drops design is so underrated in terms of patterns, because there's so many of them and they're literally all for free, all suggesting to use Drops yarns, which are very affordable. And I don't know, where I live here in Europe, they're very accessible. I know that might not be the same in the US, but at least over here I'm very happy that, you know, I have a lot of Drops yarn available to me. Now the next pattern is a pattern by Audrey Borrego, and is called Aigues. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly either. I've actually shared a few of Audrey Borrego's patterns before, and then one of you guys let me know that she actually stopped writing patterns and then just kind of like put everything available for free, which I think is so nice. And this is one of those. So this is a kind of like short sleeve t-shirt with this beautiful patterning at the front. It seems like it's kind of like a cable lace mix. And yeah, it's knit up in a sport weight yarn on 3.5mm needles, and it comes in sizes 1 through 10. So yeah, I think this is also such a beautiful pattern. If you're interested, go check out Audrey Borrego's Ravelry site. There's a lot of beautiful free patterns on it. The next pattern is a t-shirt pattern. It's called the IU by Wan Cheng Phua, also known as Nitty Gritty SG, so I guess from Singapore, which means it's gonna be a summer pattern because it's very hot there. I actually lived in Malaysia for 8 years, and the thought of a knitted item or wearing a knitted item there is just not one I ever had because it was so hot. Like every step you take outside, you're sweaty, and with knitted garments, it's often they're a little bit thicker than like just like a cotton t-shirt or sportswear. So this designer, being from Singapore, is very impressive because that means all she's doing is summer knitting, which yeah. Anyways, this t-shirt is quite fitted at the body and has these ruffled sleeves, which I think is a really beautiful construction. I think it's a very flattering cut. It's knit up in 3.5mm needles, like I said, in sport weight yarn, and it comes in sizes 1 through 9, and it's available in English. And yeah, we don't see a lot of kind of like fitted t-shirts in knitting. I think a lot of them are a little bit wider. The suggestion usually, or in most patterns, I would say, is a positive ease versus a negative ease. This one looks like it doesn't have any ease at all, or if any, not much, positive or negative. And I think the contrast between like the wider sleeves and the tight body is just one that we don't really get that much in knitting, which is why I also wanted to include this pattern here. Next is another Drops Garn Studio pattern. This one is called the Smiling Honey Top. Again, it's this beautiful, beautiful detailed lace pattern in front and this like tank top construction. It suggests to use the drop software, and again, it is a sport weight yarn, and the gauge is 24 stitches on 3.5 and 2.5mm needles. This one comes in sizes S to 3XL, and I also just think this would be a really cool way to try out lace knitting or to get deeper into your lace knitting, because I think the step to a lace knitted tank top might be a little bit more like accessible or less scary than to a lace knitted sweater, just because a tank top is literally, I think it's like half of the knitting you do, because I think one sleeve is like half a body or something like that, I heard once. But yeah, I think another beautiful drops pattern. Next is one of my favorites of this list, and this one is called the Tuscana t-shirt. It is a basic stockinette pattern. I love my stockinette. I think it's very difficult to get me away from stockinette. Like, I do my lace and I do like my other stuff, but like I just love stockinette. This one is by Maria Bergman, and it is a pretty recent pattern. It's from 2025 February. It is knit up in an Aran weight yarn on 5mm needles, so it's again like a little bit of a thicker t-shirt, and it features this beautiful like wave edge at the bottom, and it is a raglan constructed garment, and yeah, also just like a wardrobe basic in my opinion. It comes in sizes XS through 4XL, and yeah, the languages are English and a few others. Next we have a pattern by Emily Baldwin. This one is called the Tiptop Tank Fine. It is knit up in a fingering weight yarn on 3.25 and 3mm needles, and it comes in sizes XS through 2XL, and it is in English. I think the really nice thing about this tank top pattern is that the sleeves, it seems like there's two options, one where you just like knit them and the other one where you knit like a longer cord that you can then actually tie up as little bow ties at the top. I think with knitted tops, it's often an issue of you knit it according to your size. You're probably trying it on to figure out how long you need the straps to be, but I think many of us are guilty, me included, of having a knitted tank top in our closet that the straps have just kind of grown and therefore makes the tank a little bit unwearable. And I think with the bow tie at the top, you completely solve that because you can readjust it, and it's just a way easier fix or adjustment than having to like actually unravel your shirt, sew it back together. I don't know, I think for me, once an item is done, I don't really want to touch it anymore. I don't really want to have to adjust it. I just want it to be like a closet item that I can wear on any given day. And I think with these cute little bow ties, first of all, they look adorable, and second of all, they're really functional. So yeah, that's the Tiptop Tank by Emily Baldwin, and I might put this on my next year's summer knitting list. This is gonna be a hard one to avoid. The last pattern I want to share is another Drops design pattern. There's just so many beautiful tank tops, especially in Drops design. I had to share them. This one is called Heart of Fire, and it is also knit up in a sport weight yarn on 3 and 2.5 millimeter needles, and comes in sizes XS through 2XL. And yeah, it essentially is this V-neck tank top, which with pretty thin like spaghetti straps, and it features this beautiful like lace pattern. 2 panels are like 2 stripes at the front with the lace, as well as like an overall lace like little holes all over the tank top. This to me looks like a very wearable summer tank top. Like it's gonna be airy, it doesn't cover up much, it's gonna, you know, really be a nice garment if you still want to wear a knitted garment on the hottest summer days. Okay, so those were my patterns of today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope there was maybe a little bit of inspiration in here. You'll see that a lot of these patterns are actually patterns from yarn websites or from kind of like magazines that are published by various knitting related companies. And I think that's something that sometimes gets lost a little bit in the knitting world, where, you know, we actually do have a lot of free resources like available to us. I'm not saying don't pay for patterns, that is not at all the point I'm trying to make. I myself like paying for patterns. I like supporting the designers. I follow designers on social media, on YouTube, and so on and so forth. I just like seeing the process. But I also understand that sometimes you just don't want to pay for a pattern, or sometimes, you know, maybe you're not able to pay for a pattern. And I just hope that with these free patterns, everyone and anyone can have access to it. And yeah, so hopefully there was a pattern or two in there that you liked. Let me know down below what you're knitting this summer. And yeah, if you like this video, I would love for you to subscribe and stick around for the long run. I post videos around every single week. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one, I guess. Until then, take care. Bye.